So yeah, he brings a lot to the game, and he's right here.
Right now!
Online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
Hey, here we go. Tuesday off and running with you in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance, go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance across the great state of Mississippi. Your hometown hero. That was Mississippi, by the way. I speed it up sometimes. Your hometown heroes, that's your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents. What up? Welcome into the studio here on this Tuesday. If you're tuning in, I appreciate it. Bill is here so we can have a show. He's the one that makes it happen. I'm here. I just grease the wheels. And thank goodness you're here. And there's lots of ways for you to communicate with me today and on the radio to the other people that we have here listening. So just grab a chair, pull on up to the table, have a seat with us here. We'll have some coffee together and chat it up, see where it goes. Who knows? Sometimes it's interesting, sometimes it's not. But we make an effort one way or the other. So if you're on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, dadgum, I sent the live stream out to the wrong thing. All right, I'm going to take it off this one. Remove. And let me add one more. Save changes. All right, there we go. Now we're streaming. I don't know which one I'm supposed to send it to. I know this. I know it's on Facebook and YouTube, and it might be on Twitch today. We'll see about that. All right, so if you're on any of those live streams, you can type in a comment. I can see it, and then you can be a part of the radio audience as well. And hey, everybody on the radio. Feel free to hit me up on the Country Please and text line, 885-ESPN or 885-3776. Call me on the Davini phone, 995-1059. It's a 601 number, 995-1059. One of the first comments I got on the live stream just a second ago was from Jim, who said, "Hooday, Matt." We got some Bengals fans reminding me. I mean, they are happy to remind me that I kept last week going, first of all, they're not beating the Titans in Nashville. So I admit to being dead wrong about that. Just absolutely dead wrong about it. Obviously. That was a heck of a game. Heck of a game. And a big reason that they are, playing, one win away from a Super Bowl is because of Joe Cool.
Joe Cool.
Yeah.
Back in school.
Mr. Joe Burrow to you. Joe Cool is going to terrorize the NFL for the next few years with that receiver he's got out there, Chase. Yeah, they chasing him, all right. And you're exactly right, Jim. Joe Cool is the real deal. So, hooday at you. Thanks for the reminder. But listen, enough on the football. There's plenty to get into from a football perspective, and we will do that here today. But I don't know if you know or not, there is a very important thing. Well, I guess it's important. I mean, it's historical. That I do know. It has historical importance. And that is a vote on who's in and who's out of the Pro Baseball Hall of Fame that's happening today. You're going to find out tonight who's been voted into the Hall of Fame and who's not. All right, and look, so there's 8 million questions coming in about different things. And we are back on YouTube, and I welcome Sven back on YouTube on the live stream over in Berlin, Germany, tuning in all the way across a big pond. Hey, Sven. Hail State, he says, everybody. Well, back at you, Sven. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so we're going to get somebody voted into the Hall of Fame, and you're going to know who it is. The results of the 2022 Baseball Writers Association of America Hall of Fame vote will be revealed tonight. We already know that the class is going to include 6 inductees from what they call era committee ballots. You got Buck O'Neill, Bud Fowler, Jim Cott, Tony Oliva, Minnie Minoso, and Gil Hodges. Okay, the question is anybody else going to be added? Let's talk about it. David Ortiz, Big Papi. First time on the ballot. Nobody's really sure if he's going in tonight or not. Ortiz has been on 84.5% of the known ballots. The only thing you have to lean on here is the divide between old school and new school voters. We're going to see. And then this, Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens again. Now, I do want to go ahead and throw this out there, too. Corey on Facebook tuning in and says, until Pete Rose is given his rightful spot in the Hall of Fame, I couldn't care less about anyone else. Hashtag change my mind. Well, did he gamble on baseball? Yeah. Did they say they gave him a lifetime ban? Yeah. They try to make an example out of him? Uh-huh. Have I watched the documentary stuff that says there's other things involved? No. I ain't watched any of that. I don't know any of that. All I know is he's one of the greatest hitters to ever play the game. It is called the Hall of Fame, not the Hall of Stats. Did he have a Hall of Fame baseball career? Yeah. Would he have had a Hall of Fame baseball career with or without the gambling on baseball? Yeah. And maybe it's softening up from a very conservative point of view in the past. Maybe it is, but it just feels like in this day, in this era, in this time, when you got entire baseball stadiums and teams and organizations that are partnering, having a marketing and advertising partnership with gambling stuff, and online gambling and all this sports gaming, that it's maybe time to put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. So if we start at that perspective, Corey, if we start right there, until Pete Rose is given his right, he says on Facebook, I'm looking at it here, his rightful spot in the Hall of Fame, I couldn't care less about anybody else. Hashtag change my mind. Nick on the Country Pleasing text line says this, it's not the moral, the Hall of Moral Superiority. It's not the Moral Superiority Hall of Fame, he says. That's Nick on the Country Pleasing text line. Let's dive in and see where your opinions land on this stuff, okay? Regarding Pete Rose, do you look at Pete Rose and Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens kind of in the same thought? Do you? Jordan on Facebook says absolute and emphatic yes, they should be in the Hall of Fame. Bonds and Clemens, absolute and emphatic yes, they should be in the Hall of Fame. Richard on YouTube says, I also think that the beer-swilling, cigar-chomping, sports-writing hypocrites will keep them out. And then he says, LOL. Hey, Richard, let me just tell you this, Richard. That moniker right there, beer-swilling, cigar-chomping, sports-writing hypocrites. That's a great little string of English words right there. You know what it makes me think of, Richard? Last night I was watching the movie The Natural. My favorite movie of all time. All of them. It's at the top of all of them. All movies for me personally. Has been since I was about 10 years old. It sounds like you are describing the sports writer in The Natural, Max Mercy. Sports swilling, cigar chomping, sports writing hypocrite. That's what he was. And just watched that last night.
And half of that describes Babe Ruth.
I mean, hey, it really does. He just didn't write about sports. He played.
Didn't write about sports. He played.
But he swilled some beer and chomped some cigar.
Yeah.
It's a good point, Bill.
Yep. And he's in the Hall of Fame, and then you got Ty Cobb, probably the meanest man ever in baseball.
Yeah. Hey, and I would, like smoking it will kill you. It's very, very bad for you. But I will admit, I love to smell somebody smoking a cigar. Like I go to the golf course or go to a baseball game, and from the first base side, and somebody smoking a cigar can be on the third base side, and I smell it, and I love it. I love the way it smells.
I've been around Ron Polk too much.
Well, yeah, you can smell Coach Polk coming for sure most of the time. All right, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, should they be in? I'm coming to your comments. There's a whole bunch of texts on this, but and this is, I know that we are we're in the heart of the NFL playoffs. We just had the best NFL weekend ever. You got a lot of college football stuff going on, moving, shaking the coaching staffs here and there, and also the transfer portal, new players leaving. I get it. I know we're in the heart of the SEC basketball season. We're going to talk about that. State's playing at Kentucky tonight, and later in the show, we're going to have Neil Price on this show live from Lexington, Kentucky, where he will be calling the game on the radio tonight. We're going to get all that, but I just saw this, and it doesn't pop up too often that it grabs me, and I'm just being honest with y'all here today on this show. It grabbed me. Okay. Here's something somebody wrote over at CBS. It said, "Let's face it, Bonds and Clemens are tied together. It's a formality at this point. Bonds got 61.8% of the vote last year after being named on 73% of the public ballots. Right now he's tracking, they say, for this year at 77.5 and has gained just 2 votes from voters returning from last year to this year. It says, given what we know about private versus public ballots, this isn't going to cut it. It says Clemens got 61.6% of the vote last year after being named on 73% of the ballots. So he's like 12% shy of the ballots he was on. It says right now he's at 76%, and he also has only gained a net of 2 votes in the tracking they're doing. So that's a lot of numbers, but here's what it means to me, is that from last year to this year, these guys, we're talking Barry Bonds. We're talking Roger Clemens. And last year to this year, they each have picked up 2 votes, and it's probably the same 2 who swung to the other side, who just finally went, you know what? I'm changing my mind on this. Well, they won't be in. Now, we're going to get back to that. You got Kurt Schilling on there, Scott Rowland, a few others. They talk about making gains. And I have seen some, pretty notable sports talkers and talking heads and writers and others opine about a few of these guys here in the recent days leading up to this. And I think it's to try to maybe sway some people. Okay. Todd Helton. Remember Todd Helton, former Tennessee quarterback, and then he got hurt and entered Peyton Manning, and then he went to baseball and became an all-star first baseman for the Rockies. He's picked up votes since last year. Andrew Jones, Braves, Billy Wagner. A-Rod was on the ballot his first go-around last year and only got 40%. Omar Vizquel. See, A-Rod's getting the Bonds and Clemens treatment, isn't he? This guy who's tracking everything right now, as of today, kind of live, is hanging in there that he thinks David Ortiz is going to get in there. They think he's going to get voted in here in his first time on the ballot. It says he'll just barely get 75% of the vote and make it in. It's a one-man Baseball Writers of Association class this year, giving Cooperstown 7 players to celebrate this July. So the ones I mentioned that are already in, and then it says these guys are going to vote one more guy in. But obviously, unless there's some kind of miracle between now and tonight when they finish counting the votes, Bonds won't have enough. Clemens won't either. That'll be it. So let me get some of your opinions. Let's talk about it. Well, let me say one thing first, and then I'm coming to some of your comments. Let's go back and use Pete Rose as an example. There also don't we have to also consider what the rules were and how the rules were laid out very clearly and specifically to players at the time they committed a certain thing, a certain faux pas, shall we say. Okay, here's what I mean by that. We are discussing in 2022, Pete Rose, Hall of Fame, gambling. I even threw in there this little qualifier about, you see, sports gaming and all this kind of stuff. It's just now a part of it. It's all celebrated and everything. It's like, how are you going to keep it out of the sport? That was the worry when they did it. And then nobody cared. Just do it, whatever. Can't stop it. Snowball rolling downhill. But at the time that he pulled the stunt that he pulled, Pete Rose that is, it wasn't 2022. It was a totally different context. It was an era where I think anybody doing that and playing baseball knew. When did he do it? In the 70s or 80s? Well, still, the point is he's only, about 50 years removed from the Shoeless Joe Jackson Chicago team. They get them all banned, right? Okay. Throwing a game, shaving, whatever. Okay. Pete Rose, every player that played in the era that he played in knew. You get caught gambling on the game, let alone the ones that you play in, they're going to ban you for life. Okay, so they knew that ahead of time. It was a different context. We do have to consider that. And so what about PEDs for Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens? Clemens goes before Congress. Lying about it, sure. Did Bonds ever go before Congress? Was Bonds ever suspended for PEDs? That's another thing that I have to ask. Now, these baseball writers, they vote, I don't. They vote, you probably don't. But the other thing is, we feel like we know what we know about steroid use and Barry Bonds. We feel like our eyes, the things we see from him to the naked eye is not lying to us. But there's also, doesn't there have to be some sort of technicality in there? That's another thing. Andy Pettit, did you test positive for PEDs? Were you suspended for PED use? As far as I know, Barry Bonds never was, right? It's even more than assumed. We're not just assuming that Barry Bonds, we're just going on the fact that he used PEDs. But was it ever sure enough nailed down is what I'm asking. Okay, now let's get to your comments. There's some interesting stuff on the text line. Let me mention this. Henry on YouTube said being a PED user in the hall doesn't make them the greatest, but it makes you remembered. I think the shadow will still follow them either way. Well, yeah. I mean, there's no question about that. And Corey says PEDs or not, as a hitter, you still have to make contact with the ball, and as a pitcher, you still have to hit your spots. And that is true. And then it comes down to the longevity of a career. There's been a lot of guys who were great for 3 or 4 years. They didn't use PEDs, and they were out of the game because their body broke down. There's a lot of guys who played for a long time because PEDs helped them to recover and get back on the field and overcome injuries. I think that's the angle, too. Others saying that Bonds and Clemens should absolutely be into the Hall of Fame. Let's see what we're talking about on the Country Pleasing text line. Jackson Mailman says, gambling in the game is way different to me than taking banned substances to make your performance better during the game. Well, think about that. See, I don't know that I'm having a hard time with that, Mailman. I really am. You're saying that to you, gambling on the game, okay, gambling on the game that you're playing in is way different than taking banned substances to make your performance better during the game. Okay, you're not dividing shaving points, throwing a game to pocket money from some crook out here who's going to give you $10,000 to lose. You're not separating that. You're just saying gambling on the game. You could be betting on your team to win, right? Is that what you're saying? Because I would say, if we're talking about shaving points, throwing a game, losing, okay, to then go cash in and you're gambling on that, that's to me way more criminal and more detestable of an activity than taking some PED, some banned substance, so that you can play better or you can play longer. Now, I told you my favorite movie is The Natural, so maybe I'm affected by that. But you remember at the end when Roy Hobbs goes and talks to them, he figures out this pitcher is in on it with these dirty owners. And he goes out there and he tells Fowler, the pitcher, hey, don't do this. Fowler thinks Hobbs is in on it. He says, you start hitting, I'll start pitching. They come to an agreement. Let's stop this and play the way we're supposed to play. And then wind up winning the game. Spoiler, the movie's 40 years old. You should have seen it by now. Hopefully I didn't spoil it for you. Now, Squirrel, I said The Natural. Squirrel says Outlaw Josie Wales is my favorite movie. That is an awesome movie. It's got everything. Not to mention it starts with Clint Eastwood, but it's got everything. Even a little comedy mixed in there also. Lynn's going to weigh in on this on the Country Pleasing, on the Davini Equipment phone line when we come back in just a bit. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of texts about it. And I do want to get to those. All I did is kind of lay it out. I came here today ready to talk about some other stuff. I didn't necessarily... It's such an ongoing conversation. I didn't come in here with some opinion to hit you over the head with. But here we are again. It's 2022. And look, Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens are not going in the Hall of Fame. And it's going to be according to people who vote in the Baseball Writers Association. They're not putting them in. And I'm starting to not feel right about it. I'm really not. Y'all stick around.
Hey, this is the Fat Jack. As we head into the new year, we are absolutely heating up.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
Jeans do come true.
Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt.
Just answer the questions.
BlueDeltaJeans.com. Answer the questions. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if, who you were with. And my experience with C Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C Spire, went and did curbside at my local C Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, but this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Better buy Bird's Eye. Better buy Bird's Eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy.
Back to the Matt Wyatt Show on the 50,000 watt sports powerhouse. ESPN 105.9 The Zone and streaming.
Check it out online now.
At thezone1059.com.
Back with you in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio, staying connected to you because of C Spire, the #1 network in Mississippi. C Spire, customer inspired. It's about time for old Matthew to upgrade to that iPhone 13. I got the 12 Pro Max. It's a big one. See, got the 12 Pro Max. It's a big one. I got big hands. It works. You know? But that 13's got that fancy camera, and I'm going to have to check that out at C Spire. I'm just go to cspire.com, price it out, see if I can upgrade and go from there. I've done it before online where you just type it in, it tells you what you owe, and go pick it up. So I may be doing that soon at C Spire. All right, over the Davini Equipment phone line, Davini Equipment Madison and in Jackson, your Kubota dealer. We got Lynn hanging on line 1. Hey, Lynn, what's up?
How about it, Matt?
Hey, man.
Hey, first off, you made me understand the Pete Rose argument to not be in the hall a little better than I have before, because I'm kind of one of the guys that think you need to be in too. But the way you said that, I kind of get it. You're right. It was the era you did. But as far as Clemens and Bonds go, in my opinion, they should both be in. And here's why. You take away their stats from when you suspect or know they started using PEDs. From that point on, take them away, they're still in the Hall of Fame without them.
Even before, yeah.
They would still go. Now, they may not be first ballot surefire guys, but they would still make it.
Well, and see, here's the thing about that, Lynn, is it's kind of like what I was saying earlier. You know, without something like a failed drug test on such and such day in 1990, whatever, without that, something like that on the record, then for me, we're all just kind of presuming a certain time that they must have started using it either based on appearance or something else, right? And I get
right.
it. It's like we can look at Barry Bonds and his head grew like a pumpkin in a healthy pumpkin patch. Over the course of a few years, he's 3 hat sizes bigger. Well, something's going on, obviously, but
he completely changed his appearance, 100%.
100%.
But before that change took place, man, he was the best player in baseball for a long time.
He was outstanding. See, you're right. So you go early 90s when, like, because I remember, watching the Braves play the Pirates in those great postseasons in the early 90s. And he was a part of those Pirates teams, and he was this little skinny, lightning fast outfielder who was a great hitter and a base stealer. You could, by appearance, there's nothing about his appearance there, early 90s that would lead you to believe he was on steroids. But again, Lynn, the thing is, how do I know he wasn't?
Well, I don't, but now you also got to remember, up until a certain point, there wasn't no rules against it.
That's right. That's right. Hey, and somebody even mentioned that. I'm going to go and I'll find the the comment, but somebody texted, I believe, and I'll find it over here. But that's what they said. We have the PED rules that we have now because of guys like Barry Bonds, right? Yeah.
But they didn't break the rules like say Rose did probably at the beginning. Now eventually, yeah, I'm sure they still would. But here's the thing. That's just my point. I think there was Hall of Famers without it. But what they done was they made the wrong people mad. They weren't media friendly. They made the wrong people mad, and they didn't care because they knew how great they were.
Yeah.
But now they're going to get to pay for it.
Yeah, it's almost like, Lynn, a bunch of those guys knew what they were doing. They were basically going at that time saying, you know what? I want the years on my career. I want the home runs. I want the wins. I want baseball now. And if I get caught, I'll be willing to give up the Hall of Fame. I don't care about that. I mean, that's basically what they did.
That's what it looks like. But I think they're, without question, two of the greatest baseball players ever, and they should be in my opinion. You could take away half their careers and they're still in. So
thanks, Lynn. That's a really good point. Thank you. Trip on the Country Pleasing text line says Rose knew the rules. Rose knew the consequences. Rose broke the rules with full knowledge of the consequences. All actions have consequences, some good, some bad. Rose has no reason to expect baseball to break the rules just for him. Otherwise, why have the rules? And Trip, I mean, like, how can I argue with that? How can I argue with it? And I bring up what was it, 1920 what? Or maybe it was before that. I can't remember the year. The Shoeless Joe Jackson White Sox team, and they all get banned for shaving, and then he's thrown in, and then it's over the years, well, Shoeless Joe wasn't in on it, Yeah, well, maybe it was. Free American said, I just think that if you are really well known, then you are famous. Isn't that what the fame in Hall of Fame means? So if you're famous for baseball reasons, then why shouldn't you be in? Free American, it's a Hall of Stats, isn't it? I mean, in large part, it's a Hall of Stats. Otherwise, what in the world would they be using other than some statistical threshold to keep Dale Murphy out of the Hall of Fame? I mean, it's got to be some statistical threshold that they just didn't feel like he was over. I mean, I'm coming to the phone, but it's like they went back in the Golden Days era committee, and they've put in 4 guys: Gil Hodges, Jim Cott, Minnie Minoso, and Tony Oliva. Well, if you look at Gil Hodges, for instance, okay, look at Gil Hodges, who they're putting in. This guy was an 8-time All-Star, a 2-time World Series champ, 3-time Gold Glove, batted a career .273 and hit 370 home runs. Played for the Browns, that'd be the St. Louis Browns, through the late in the 40s and 50s. Late 50s, he goes and plays for the Dodgers, and then in 62, 63, he's on the Mets. He had seasons. He had a 40 home run season in 51. Hit 32 in 52. He had a 42 home run season in 54. He averaged about 25 home runs a year for the next 5 years up to 1959, and then kind of had a farewell tour for 4 seasons before getting out of baseball. But he played for 20 years. Okay, so they put him in. Overall numbers aren't like that much different than Dale Murphy, and he played for more years than Murphy did. They put him in, though. All right, back over to the phones. Davini Equipment phone line 1. Boomer Sooner hanging on. What's up?
How are you today, sir?
Just right. Thanks for calling.
Hey, this whole thing, I wonder how many of those writers, and the voters for the Hall of Fame are some of the most hypocritical folks on this earth. How many of those guys actually came out in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s when this stuff was going on and wrote articles and said that Bonds or McGuire or all of them should be kicked out of baseball.
Absolutely.
Not a one.
And see, Boomer Sooner, that's a great point. It's a great point you bring up. Because here's the thing, Boomer Sooner, it's just like I was talking with Lynn. It's one thing if we go, okay, this particular player failed a drug test on July the 16th, 2000, whatever. We've got that in black and white. It's a technical thing. There it is. But it's a whole different deal when that didn't happen, even if Barry Bonds ballooned up into like a cartoon wrestler.
Well, and the other thing, look, this was steroids, for whatever anybody wants to admit, the steroid era saved baseball. It was circling the drain, and then along comes McGuire and Sosa.
Yeah.
And the year that they had brought baseball back and put it on the front page.
Really
and the owners and the commissioners and all of the people running baseball encouraged it. They didn't try to stop none of it. They let it all go. In fact, they encouraged it. Teams, I have a friend who played in the majors. He wasn't a Hall of Famer. He was a utility guy that bounced around a little bit, played on like 3 different teams. He said, man, every team had doctors on staff that were prescribing the crap for everybody. And the Bonds and McGuire and Clemens and some of those guys were the most famous, but they weren't the only one. There was a lot of guys that was just able to preserve their career and prolong their career and make a little bit extra money.
Right.
That were doing it too.
Right.
I mean, we're punishing these guys, and I'm not making excuses for them. All I'm saying is, man, let's don't get this moral high ground going. And when we sat there and watched it happen and encouraged it to happen, you know?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it was crazy.
And every time there was a period of time there where Barry Bonds was such a threat at the plate against any pitcher he faced at the end during the kind of heyday of the home run hitting in the early 2000s, when he's leading the league in intentional walks and still leading it in home runs. It's like if they threw it up there,
Barry Bonds,
he hit it out.
Barry Bonds was the only guy ever to be intentionally walked with the bases loaded. I saw it.
Isn't it just crazy?
Intentionally walked with the bases loaded.
But hey, hold on, Boomer Sooner. Hold on, Boomer Sooner. He can't go in the Hall of Fame now.
Oh, I know.
He can't go in
He
the
was
Hall
the
of
most feared hitter in the history of the game. And I'm sorry. I mean, it's nuts. But the people doing the vote are nothing but a huge flock of hypocrites. That's all they are.
Thanks, Sooner. Appreciate the call. A huge flock of hypocrites. Y'all are cracking me up today. More of your texts and calls coming up. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Stay with me.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Arrived today. Genes do come true. Thank you, Blue Delta. Yeah, genes do come true. That's what the bag says.
Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Raw denim jeans, custom fit, hand tailored in Tupelo, Mississippi, my hometown. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase. Again, that's if you listen to me, you can use discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, and at checkout, you're going to get a 10% discount off your order.
So I just went online, ordered them, BlueDeltaJeans.com a couple weeks ago. Went in, I didn't go get measured. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are at my doorstep a couple weeks later. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Nice. I'm happy.
I've known the Blue Delta team for years, and I'm thrilled to have these guys on as a sponsor of this show. Blue Delta's virtual tailor is a fun and easy way to get yourself into the best fitting pair of jeans you're ever going to own.
But you never Thought you'd get a butt shot out of me, huh? How about that? Just answer the questions, and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions. It's amazing how they do it. They will fit perfectly. You're not going to find better material and better feeling pants, period, anywhere. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. I promise you that. And I know that you are going to love them too. Make sure you use the code. And remember, jeans do come true.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Let me tell you about an ice cream can't be beat.
The very best tasting you can eat.
It's Meadow, 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 Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. Go to your ice cream man today, and here's the word that you should say. Oh, give me Meadow, Meadow, Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold.
And remember, folks, Meadow Gold is mighty good.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
6 o'clock, dinner time. Thank goodness for Jell-O instant pudding.
Yes, thank goodness for Jell-O Instant Pudding. The terrific busy day dessert you can make at the very last minute. See how quick and easy. Just add it to cold milk and beat it up. That's all. By the time you're ready to eat it, it's all ready for you. Jell-O Instant Pudding, made by the famous Jell-O folks. So creamy, so nourishing, so delicious. No other instant pudding is quite the same. Stock your shelves with all 7 flavors. The good busy day dessert. Jell-O Instant Pudding.
It's time to get back to the Matt Wyatt Show. Talking more great sports for you, Mississippi.
Online transmission is ready, sir.
Live online at thezone1059.com and
Keep your radio turned on
to ESPN 105.9, The Zone.
All right, let's go. A bunch of comments we need to get to. I appreciate all the feedback. This is really fun. Henry on YouTube said, I agree with Lynn. The rules were so unclear, and for a long time the league did nothing when they very well knew what was happening. If Selig is in, Bud Selig, the commissioner at the time, we cannot be so against Bonds and Clemens. Whew. What a point. Commissioner of Baseball. Henry's opinion is, on YouTube, that somebody like Bud Selig, for a long time, the rules were unclear. Like Boomer Sooner said, baseball survived on the home run stuff in the late 90s, Sosa, McGuire. League knew what was going on, did nothing about it intentionally. And if Bud Selig is in, you can't be so against Bonds and Clemens being in. What a point. We start looking at our own opinions, trying to figure out, am I a hypocrite too? Richard said, if Dale Murphy is not in the Hall of Fame, how legitimate can it be? Y'all see the little rotating helmet on my desk? You see the little figure next to it? It's the only like action figure type thing I have in my entire world that I own. House or anything. It's the only one. And that is a Dale Murphy thing that before my buddy Brandon Walker, we were sharing the same office in Tupelo for years before he went and got big time with Barstool Sports. And he left me that because he knew I was a big Dale Murphy fan. But that was Brandon's gift to me. Oh, and the TV on the wall. I talked him out of the TV. I talked him out of leaving the TV that's on the wall because he didn't want to keep it. He didn't want to move it. He didn't want to fool with taking it off the wall. But it's definitely, this is Brandon Walker's TV. Don't tell him I said that because he'll come knocking on my door someday wanting it back. Sven in Germany says Bond should be in. So is Clemens. All right. Country Pleasing text line, Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. It is the best, hands down. You can get it on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. You can go to Walmart. I get mine at Walmart a lot. You can get it at Country Meat Packers on Highway 49 Florence, where the Country Pleasing brand comes from, or you can just order it, countrypleasing.com. I had some blueberry maple sausage at lunch. Yeah. It's great. All right. Let's go through the text. A bunch of these. Let's go. Thanks for texting. Raider Nation says, this is Yadier Molina's last season with the Cardinals. Do you think he gets in? Yeah. Patrick says, the game is so slow nowadays. Make it entertaining. What he was talking about, he said, I think PEDs should be okay in all sports. Who wouldn't want to see a 60-year-old man who can throw 130 miles per hour hit 600-foot bombs to dead center? I never thought of it that way. Patrick, thank you. Mailman David said, all of these guys made a decision to do something they knew was against the rules. Now they must live with the consequences. We need to stop making excuses for them. Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't think anybody's making excuses for them, really. But there are some hairs to split on who knew what the rules exactly were for a period of time. Now, we got big time stringent rules now. You didn't always have it that way regarding steroids, PEDs. It was more of this talked about in the alleyway instead of out on the news sort of thing. And Jackson Mailman agrees, said Rose didn't bet that his team would lose, only to win, as far as I've ever heard. He said, and if he was convicted of shaving points, yeah, that's different altogether. Mailman says, but all reports I've read says that he bet on his team to win, not lose. Bill in Madison said, Matt, I'm an old school baseball fan. So on the PED guys, it's complicated. Is that Jack Nicholson movie? We don't know. No, not Jack Nicholson. Alec Baldwin, Steve Martin, and what's her name? Meryl Streep. Says we don't know who was actually using and not. Most knowledgeable baseball people will tell you a lot of pitchers were using and not as scrutinized. So if you let anyone in that you know use them, you need to let them all in, whether it's Bonds, Clemens, or others. Either let none in or all, but no, there are probably guys getting in now that were users and no one knew about it. Bill, that's common sense. That's the pragmatic approach to this thing, and it's dead on. There it is. Now, I can agree with this too. Somebody texted and said, wrong is wrong, betting or PEDs. Okay, right. But if you're sitting there holding a vote, what are you basing that vote on, is what I'm saying. Which side do you fall on? Bucky from Vicksburg, for everyone saying Bonds did nothing wrong, Bucky says, are you juicing your kids to play ball? They didn't break the baseball rules. They broke the law. That's from Bucky in Vicksburg. And no, if I had a kid playing baseball, I would not be juicing him. And I would be telling him no. I'd be teaching him the ups and downs of that as much as I could. Because life is more, and the length of your life, isn't it more important than baseball? Maybe. Pete was never accused of shaving points or throwing a game. He always played to win. That's from one of our texters there. Nick says Gaylord Perry literally rubbed whatever substance he could find on the ball, and folks want to talk about the rules. Anybody think Perry deserves to be in more than Clemens? And Gaylord Perry pitched in the majors for like 50 years or something like that. That's only a slight exaggeration. Anthony from Tupelo says, my big thing about all this stuff with Bonds and Clemens is it was widely known that some of the players from the 50s and 60s, maybe even earlier, were going out partying all night, taking amphetamines to play the next day. These players still got voted in the Hall of Fame. What is the difference? Anthony, it's like, what hairs are we willing to split and what not? What conversations are we willing to have honestly and which not? Unnamed texter says, doesn't Palmeiro hold a Major League Baseball record he did a few years back? Well, I don't know that. But for instance, the Golden Days Committee You know, they put in Gil Hodges. Nobody's arguing that. He played for, I guess it was 21 seasons. Gil Hodges. He was an all-star 8 different times, was on a couple of World Series teams in the 50s. But his numbers pale in comparison to Rafael Palmeiro, who played for 20 seasons, 1 season less. His numbers pale. Hodges batted 270-something in that era. Palmeiro batted 288. Hodges hit 300-something home runs. Palmeiro hit 569. Palmeiro, 4-time All-Star, 3-time Gold Glove, had another Gold Glove. Okay, he had half the All-Star game appearances that Gil Hodges did, but Rafael Palmeiro was the Major League Player of the Year one year. So, I mean, it really is a steroids thing. It ain't stats with some, obviously. Bigglesworth says, could the fact that Bonds and Clemens were both insufferable jerks that off all the baseball writers be a factor too? Yeah, maybe it is. Again, it's like you go back to their day and maybe they just made the decision, I don't care about the Hall of Fame. Or if they vote me in or not. Don't care. Raider Nation said some people are disputing whether Yadier Molina gets in. I think he got to get in, right? I'm not even looking at the numbers. Woodrow says, remember the Max Mercy line from The Natural, I'm here to protect this game. I think sports writers feel that way. That's why they won't vote in Bonds or Clemens, but they're wrong. There's better ways to protect the game other than keeping out guys who had Hall of Fame careers. Yeah, Max Mercy said, whether you're the GOAT or the hero, one way or the other, you're going to make me a great story. Roy Hobbs says something to him, and Max Mercy said, you're reading my mind. And Roy Hobbs said, that takes all of about 3 seconds. That does not apply to our next caller. On the Davini Equipment phone line, More Bully on line 1. What's up, More Bully?
What's happening, Matthew?
Yo!
Hey, man, I just caught this coming back from lunch. I started the Pete Rose comment. You know, my feelings are this. If you made a huge impact on the game, like, you should be in. Do you remember that summer of Bonds and Sosa? I mean, McGuire and Sosa?
Yes.
I mean, that's all that was talked about. They saved baseball that year.
They saved it, and it's the only time in the last 30 years where there were some TV ratings that NFL football people looked at and went, wow. It's the only time it's happened.
I think there's one more, because there's 2 things I've recorded in baseball. I'm sure to record it. It was when McGuire broke the record, and when why did my mind just
Cal Ripken?
Cal Ripken Jr.
Yeah.
Yep.
The streak.
Yep. Because he's Mayberry, you know?
Yeah. Right.
That could play baseball. You never heard a bad thing about him.
No.
And you know, I just think if you made a huge impact on the game, you should be in the Hall. And it doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah.
And it was both of those were unwritten rules.
Yeah.
You know? In my mind. So anyway.
Yeah, appreciate it, More Bully.
That's sort of baseball nuthead. See you, brother.
Thank you, man. If you had an impact on a game. I mean, we put owners in, you know, sports writers, managers. All right. Fun first hour. Hour 2 will be different entirely, but I sure enjoyed that, and I sure hope you stick around for hour 2. We'll dive off in something else. Stick around.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We
are about to have a fire and cook some sausage. A country pleasing sausage is outstanding whether you cook it over a fire or in the house. Cook some of this right here. It's green onion flavor. You see that? But this right here is my favorite, the maple flavor. And this is great for breakfast. It's awesome cooking it in the house because it makes the whole house smell good. Oh yeah. Let's eat country pleasing sausage, the best, hands down. If you go to countrypleasing.com, you can actually order this and deliver it to your house. Country pleasing sausage, hands down, the best. Trust me. Davini Equipment, Spring Ridge Road in Jackson, Highway 51 in Madison. Hey y'all, let me tell you a little bit about C-Spire. New stuff in 2021, including 5G coverage. If you go to their website right now, cspire.com, you're going to see their no bull, which, by the way, I love the Super Bowl ad with the slow motion bull. You're going to see that on the website. But look, they're right. There's been a lot of bull over the years in your wireless bill, depending on if, who you were with. And my experience with C-Spire is just like they say, there's no bull. I know what it's going to cost me each month. I know what my coverage is the number one coverage in Mississippi, period, the number one network. And they've got 5G phones that are 5G ready. Now, I have the new iPhone 12 Pro Max, got it at C-Spire, went and did curbside at my local C-Spire location and did the exchange where I traded in my old one, got the new one, and it's 5G capable. And we've got 5G coverage in parts of Mississippi, and it's just growing by the day. So you really ought to check that out, okay? And in terms of the new phones, you got deals going on those as well. Find those out at cspire.com. C-Spire, customer inspired.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Jeans do come true. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase. BlueDeltaJeans.com. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Just answered the questions, and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions, use this code. Use the code, you're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn, and I know that you are going to love them too.
Legal assistance in all areas of their priorities. Elder law, assistance to the disabled, domestic violence.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional.
Hi, John. It's time to get back to the Matt Wyatt Show. Live in the studio. Online at zone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
Hi, back with you. Here we go. Hour number 2, off and running in the Farm Bureau studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. Your hometown heroes, your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents. I have breaking news. This is a shock. It's not necessarily completely out of nowhere, because there have been rumors and speculation, a little smoke billowing here and there. Big, huge, humongous news out of the NFL. According to Ian Rappaport, and this is not one of these parody accounts, this is the real thing. According to Ian Rappaport, Sean Payton has informed the New Orleans Saints that he is stepping away. Wow.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. Sean Payton, who won a Super Bowl as the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, coached the team 1 year after the retirement of Drew Brees, and is hanging it up himself for now. Sean Payton became the head coach of the Saints in 2006. Seems like we ought to be able to do the math there and figure that out, right? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years as the head coach of the Saints, including a Super Bowl championship in 2009. Lots of division titles, including last year, the year that Tampa Bay went and won the Super Bowl. Beat them this year twice. Sean Payton stepping away, according to Ian Rappaport. Other sources out there confirming it. There are press conferences going on right now. For example, like at LSU, I think they are interviewing the basketball coaches, some of the other, the women's basketball coach, Kim Mulkey, and others, like they're going through this press conference deal. Some of the media getting word, and they're asking them, hey, do you have a comment on Sean Payton leaving the Saints? And they're going, like Kim Mulkey's going, I don't know him personally, but all the stuff he's done for the state of Louisiana, and we can all be grateful for his time there. This is happening. Sean Payton is done coaching the New Orleans Saints. Now, the Ian Rappaport tweet is the first one I saw. And the reason I saw it is because Jake Wimberly, who will be on your radio this afternoon on The Zone, tweeted it or retweeted it, and that's why I saw it. Sources: Sean Payton has informed the Saints that he's stepping away. He does not say that he's retiring. It does not say that he's leaving the Saints to take this job or that job or whatever. There's been speculated that Sean Payton would maybe consider going and coaching in San Diego. San Diego. I'm sorry. The Chargers, they're in Los Angeles now. I keep saying San Diego. The Los Angeles Chargers, they have a young coach who's he was a first or second year guy. And you got Justin Herbert there, who let's be honest about this. Any offensive coach in the NFL would love to coach Justin Herbert. Right? Yeah. Any offensive coach would love to coach Justin Herbert in an indoor stadium, right? Yeah. But, again, that's total and utter speculation. I'm probably getting the cart before the horse. It's probably not the time for that. But it just says that he's stepping away. I mean, because the immediate, it's like, what does it mean? And I'm sitting here going, I just didn't believe it. The last few days when there was speculation that, maybe he would consider, and he didn't know yet what he's going to do. I just didn't let myself believe I was going to see somebody else roaming the sidelines for the Saints next year other than Sean Payton. And now that it's happening, you go, now what? Okay, so he was there, I thought I counted it right, for 16 seasons, and so now you're going to have a new head coach who will draft his own quarterback? And who's that going to be? Good gracious alive. Does he go and coach another team? Is he stepping away? Is he going to do television? My head's spinning, man. Let's find out what some Saints lifers think about it. On the Davini Equipment phone line, our friend Louvier on line 1. Louvier, give it to me, man. What do you think?
Well, good afternoon, gentlemen, and go Saints. Yeah, Saints fans don't worry in January about things. We're not smart enough to do that, so I'm not worried at all. However, I've been worried about this for years. What is going to happen is he'll step away and not coach the upcoming season, 2022 season, Super Bowl to be played in 2023. And then the Cowboys will fire Mike McCarthy and name Sean Payton as their next head coach. And I certainly will wring my hands and gnash my teeth because it'll instantly make the Cowboys better and more relevant. But, Sean Payton has a house in the Highland Hills or whatever he bought Mark Teixeira's house after Mark Teixeira got traded from the Texas Rangers.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So he lives in Dallas. He worked at Dallas. I mean, Jerry Jones, I'm sure, is one of his contacts in his phone. When he was offered the head coaching job by Al Davis of the Oakland Raiders, he went and asked Jerry Jones, hey, what about it? Jerry kind of said, listen, you're going to be a head coach soon enough. You just got to make sure that it's the right opportunity, and I'm not sure that. So anyway, he talked him out of taking the Raiders head coaching job. So he likes Jerry Jones. I know that's hard to believe that anybody would like Jerry Jones, but Sean Payton does. So, yeah, am I nervous about it? No, I've been knowing that this is going to happen. This is eventually going to happen. Am I happy about it? No, not in January. I'm not sad about it, though. We got Mardi Gras to deal with first,
Yeah.
Hey, you also said that Minnie Minosa's getting in the Baseball Hall of Fame?
They're putting him in. That's right. The Golden Era Committee.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about that? Minnie Minosa, I think, was either the third or fourth African-American player in Major League Baseball. And I took a trip with my wife to Chicago in the mid-'90s. So see a friend, and we watched the Cubs and the Cardinals. And after the game, went into a Wrigleyville-type bar, and there on a bar stool was Minnie Minosa. And this is before selfies was a thing, but if you had a camera, and of course we were tourists, and we did, you could have your picture taken with Minnie Minosa if you buy him a beer. and I certainly did. And so I don't know. I used to get all my film developed, so I somewhere in my cases and stacks and boxes of photos and vacation memorabilia have a photo of my wife and I with Minnie Minosa, so I'm happy about it. Not happy about Sean Payton, but we knew it was going to happen, and Mike McCarthy also sees the handwriting on the wall. What's going to happen to the Saints? We're going to name Dennis Allen our next head coach, and we're going to languish in mediocrity for another decade. But we're going to win next year's Super Bowl. There you go. Go Saints.
Go Saints. I knew you were coming back around to that Super Bowl prediction somehow, Louvier. Even non sequitur, just come right back to it. Yeah, and I this is I know Louvier, so much to cover there. Fantastic call. Okay, only Louvier could somehow in one phone call weave his way from Sean Payton to the Dallas Cowboys after a year in television into a story about meeting Minnie Minoso. Okay, so only you could do that. So much to cover there. But you said a decade of futility, wallowing around, whatever. Let's hope not for our Saints friends, just for our area geographically. Let's hope not. And I don't think that's just a given right away. Just because prior to Sean Payton being your head coach, you waddled around in mediocrity. You know, I don't think that's a given, especially when you look at some of these young coaching hires and what's going on out there in some of these other places. In San Francisco, okay, the Rams. You look at the Bengals, some of these young coaches that they get in there and get it done, and it's possible. It absolutely is possible. It's just you can't help but look at this and just be knocked back, even though, like Louvier says, we shouldn't probably be terribly surprised. It's still, now it's happening. It's real. Okay, and your head's going whew, spinning around. Because I'm sitting here, who's your coach? Okay, the draft is in April. The combine's in a month. Okay, you got to have a quarterback. Now you're going, okay, depending on who the coach is this an automatic that now the Saints organization will hire an offensive-minded head coach, just like the one they just had, and that coach will go and draft him a quarterback in the first round of this year's draft. And we've gone through these mocks and who's it going to be and all this kind of stuff. Man, I don't know what to think about it because I just don't know. I don't know how it's going to play out. It is interesting to me that, you know, the first thing that popped up in my head as soon as it says Sean Payton stepping away was not the Cowboys. And I know there's been stories about he and Jerry Jones in the past and, you know, sending each other gifts and exchanging bottles of wine and, you know, all that kind of, I've heard those stories before too. But this is not what I thought immediately. But we saw how things went for Dallas. We know Jerry Jones' reputation. You make a change if there's a better option. Just do it. And as soon as Louvier brings it up, Sven in Berlin, Germany, who tunes in on YouTube, says, what? Jerry Jones should fire McCarthy instantly, give Payton whatever he wants, sign him now. Louvier says Sean Payton has a house in Dallas, lives there. And he is right, did coach in Dallas. Okay, so if you go back to Sean Payton's coaching career, period, began at the college level in 1988. He was an offensive assistant back in 1988 at San Diego State for a couple of years. In 90, he went to Indiana State, coached running backs, went back to San Diego State, and then became the offensive coordinator at Miami of Ohio in 94-95. Went to Illinois in 96 and coached quarterbacks, and then made the jump to the NFL in 1997 and has been in the NFL ever since. In 97, he went to the Philadelphia Eagles. For 2 years, he was a quarterbacks coach for the Eagles, and then in 99, he went to the Giants. Okay, so do the math. He's the offensive coordinator for the Giants in 2000, 2001, 2002. That's the beginning of Eli's career. Then he went to Dallas in 03 and 04. He was not the coordinator. He was assistant head coach and quarterbacks coach in 03 and 04. Became the passing game coordinator in Dallas in 05. And the very next year, 06, is when he got the New Orleans Saints head coaching job. And he's been there ever since, outside of the year that he had to sit out because of the whole Bounty Gate thing, right? It's funny, if you look up his stats as a coach, every major website out there in 2012, the year that he was suspended for that season, it lists him as coaching the 6th grade team at Liberty Christian, Texas. The 6th grade team in 2012. So if you look, it's like Sean Payton, 2011, head coach of the Saints. 2012, 6th grade football, Liberty Christian, Texas. 2013, head coach of the New Orleans Saints. It's funny how they include that, but accurate is accurate. You know, let's take a step back. My first thing I did there, you know, you start speculating on what's next. Louvier did come out there with a hot take. Roshana, you heard it too. She said on Facebook, whoo, hot take. Because Louvier said he's going to step away. He's going to do TV for 1 year, and then he will be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Henry said, as a Bulldog and Saints fan, please no drafting Matt Corral. That's Henry on YouTube. Sven says Corral is not NFL ready. We will see. Man, so much to consider. And he's still under contract. See, Henry mentions that too. We got people texting that. He's under contract until 2024. So he's got to wait a couple of years to coach somewhere else if he indeed is stepping away. And a lot of people have done that. You've seen others do that. In fact, McCarthy did that, right? McCarthy stepped away from Green Bay, does TV for a little bit, boom, back into coaching. Satisfy your contract, get right back to doing what you really want to do. All right, back over to the phone line. Ready, Teddy, on line 1. Teddy, what's up?
So Sean Payton has entered the transfer portal, huh?
He is in the portal, my friend. A different one, but he's in there.
Well, you know, as a Saints fan, I would rather Sean Payton not sit out. If he goes somewhere else, maybe they get some compensation of some picks back that we've lost.
Hey, and how about this tweet? How about this tweet you sent me on the text line too? I'm just now reading.
Yeah, read that for me.
Okay, so somebody named Robert Mays tweeted, Sean Payton leaving the Saints as they're about to stare down the consequences from years of YOLO spending. That'd be you only live once spending, and draft pick trades is like bailing after you and your buddies burned down an Airbnb following a week-long rager. You got to respect it. I don't know if you have to respect it, but that's pretty drastic. That's what he says anyway. And Louvier said he fears, the next decade of wallowing around in mediocrity. That's what he fears.
Well, let's go and have a lot of fun. Lane Kiffin to the Saints.
Hey, lots of people are saying that. They are. All right. Appreciate it, Teddy.
I'm saying it jokingly. Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you. He says he's joking, but other people are not. Flowtown Ghost, thanks for your text. He says, I bet the Cowboys make a big push for him, Sean Payton. But again, contractually, I guess you would have to consider that. I don't follow it that close. If you got a contract sitting there with New Orleans, I mean, what? I mean, you're not going to step away from it and not have some sort of consequence, either non-compete for a couple of years, or you got to finish it out before you can coach again, or some massive buyout or something. And I don't know that those contracts in the NFL for coaches are like the college ones with buyouts. Mailman David actually did get this in first. He said, I want to be the first to say Lane Kiffin to the Saints, and then he put an LOL on there. So you actually did say it before Ready Teddy was able to say it on this show on the air. Then ResDog, 2 minutes later, literally, David, 2 minutes after you, ResDog said Kiffin to the Saints. He tried his best to be first. Bigglesworth pointing out, Payton is still under contract for another 2 years, and the only way another team can acquire him during this time is in a trade. That could be for anything, right? Pro team can trade whatever they want to trade. Can trade coaches, can trade players. Woodrow says, Brian Flores to the Saints, do it now. Anthony from Tupelo says, with as mad as Jerry Jones is at the coaching staff, Payton may be the coach at the Cowboys this season. Josh texted and said, let me back up here and get them all in. Josh texted and said they likely are going to hire defensive coordinator Dennis Allen. I'd love to see them go after Brian Dable or Eric Bieniemy. Tell you what now, Bieniemy coaching that offense under Andy Reid, I mean, what better association do you need in terms of offensive pedigree in the NFL than that long-time association with Andy Reid? The difference, though, is it's one thing to coach an offense with Patrick Mahomes versus without him. And it's a different thing being an offensive coach and being a head coach also. Josh said Sean Payton under contract for several more years. Not as simple as Dallas just go get him. They'd have to compensate the Saints. To do that this year would probably take a first-round pick. And then he's letting me know that McCarthy was actually let go by Green Bay. Bruce Arians is an example, though. He retired from Arizona as Cardinals head coach, sat out 1 year, and then went to Tampa. Tampa sent Arizona a 6th-round pick to get his rights to be their coach. So it can happen. No doubt it can happen. You know, and Cowboys and Saints in the same deal. They're in the NFC, but not the same division, so they're not playing each other twice a year. And what would you send? Okay, so you're going, okay, we'll take a first-round pick. Hey, here's the thing about it, though. Let's be real, okay? Let's just take, Josh, what you said. Let's be real here for a minute. If you're the Cowboys and all it took was your first-round pick to get Sean Payton, would you do it? Huh. I mean, you don't even have to ask. We can all just assume they would do it if that's all it took. Or something like that. Very interesting. Good night. Sean Payton will not be coaching the New Orleans Saints any longer. I cannot wrap my head around that. Y'all stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Better buy bird's eye. Better buy bird's eye.
Yes, always look for this Bird's Eye Bird, your guarantee of top quality frozen food. And your big Bird's Eye buy this week is Bird's Eye Orange Juice. Easy, you can serve it in a minute. Thrifty, it will save you money. Orchard fresh and delicious.
Better buy bird's eye. Better buy bird's eye.
Now, if you know your oats and want to feel your oats and taste how good an oat cereal can be, well, you'll go for Cheerios. Great way to start the day with really great eating. That's Cheerios, one of the few foods made from oats. The tasty cereal grain everyone should have at breakfast. Crisp and golden as only a toasted oat cereal can be. And nourishing? Why, a Cheerios breakfast gives you the power protein that grown-ups need to help stay in trim and youngsters need to grow on. Toasted oat goodness, toasted oat flavor, a delicious power breakfast. That's Cheerios.
Let me tell you about an ice cream can't be beat.
The very best tasting you can eat.
It's Meadow, smooth, freeze, Meadow, go. Go to your ice cream man today, and here's the word that you should say. Oh, give me Meadow, smooth, freeze, Meadow, go.
And remember, folks, Meadow Gold is mighty good.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
6 o'clock, dinner time. Thank goodness for Jell-O instant pudding.
Yes, thank goodness for Jell-O instant pudding. The terrific busy day dessert you can make at the very last minute. See how quick and easy. Just add it to cold milk and beat it up. That's all. By the time you're ready to eat it, it's all ready for you. Jell-O instant pudding, made by the famous Jell-O folks. So creamy, so nourishing, so delicious. No other instant pudding is quite the same. Stock your shelves with all 7 flavors. The good busy day dessert. Jell-O instant pudding.
life advice.
And that's the kind of thing that could warp you for life.
You're right. It's the Afternoon Drive with Jake Wimberly. Weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 1059. The Zone.
Are you ready? Brace yourself.
Now back to the Matt Wyatt Show.
Here we go. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. Josh agrees. You want a first-round pick? You want a couple of them. If that's what it takes to get Sean Payton as your coach, they'd do it. Wouldn't even think about it, I don't think. I mean, I could be wrong. That's the way it looks to me. Richard said on YouTube, Corral and Kiffin reunion in the Big Easy, please? Yes. Some people like that idea. Anthony from Tupelo texted and said, with the popularity of the Cowboys and the swag that it seems like Jerry Jones has in the NFL, if he wants Sean Payton to be the head coach, he'll be the head coach. I mean, yeah. I mean, they'll find some way around and through anything to make it happen. Now, I'll read the reports that are out there, give you some of those details, and then you can see for yourself. Bigglesworth, Country Pleasing text line. Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Make your tongue slap your hat off like this Country Pleasing hat I'm wearing with the hog on it. Bigglesworth says, Peyton is 58 years old, married to a lady 20 years younger than him, with networks throwing money at him to do TV work. He's done with coaching. That's according to Bigglesworth. Maybe so. And he's coached for so long. All right, look, his coaching career began in 1988. Let's put this all in perspective. He's 58 years old. How many years ago? Can y'all do the math on that? Need a calculator. Man, he started young, didn't he? What he started? He must have started at like 22. He was 24 years old, his first coaching job. He'd just gotten out of school, I guess. But there's, the thing about it is there's two ways to look at that Bigglesworth without knowing for sure. And I can just tell you, okay, you go, well, somebody does something that long, maybe they're ready to just step away. But all the reports are he's not stepping away permanently. He's not retiring permanently. We've seen guys stop playing after a long time and come out of retirement. We've seen coaches step away and do TV and go right back to coaching. And the big reason is not money. I'm just telling you, even if you've played, let's say you played 4 years of high school ball, 4 years of high school baseball, 4 years of high school football, okay, you're going to be able to understand what I'm about to say. You take me, I got to play in college. I was on a college team for 5 years. That's 9 years of my life, 4 in high school and then 5 in college. And at the end of that, you get away from it just a little bit. I remember vividly what it was like my first year out of college. Now, my first year out of school, I did go to Germany and live over there and play ball. Then come back and start working. And the first time that it's the fall and the grass has been cut and it smells like a practice field, a freshly cut practice field, and you smell it when you're driving down a highway, and the smell of that freshly cut grass hits you in August. Whoa. And your eyes start blinking and your mind start boggling. And you just think, I'm supposed to be, my purpose I'm on this earth to be at football practice. I want to coach. I want to play. I want to yell. I want to scream. I want to call sweep right. I want to call all out blitz. I want to do up downs. I want to throw. I want to catch. I want to hit. I want to coach. It's just, it gets in you, and to then be away from it, it's like a drug. You've just got to have it. It's, you love it. And look, 58 is not old. It's young. Right, Bill?
Yes, sir.
He's 58 years young. He's got a lot left. Jason in Flagstaff said, why do we State fans fall all over ourselves to dump on Matt Corral's pro prospects? I'm a State guy, so say it with me, fellow kids. Matt Corral is a great quarterback and is as ready to be an NFL quarterback as the team, I say again, team that drafts him. See, I didn't die. Jason, yeah, I'm with you. It's all there, man. It's all there. And my thing, too, for Corral is, it's not like he's a 4-year starter who played every snap during that 4 years. It's not like he's sort of used up physically or anything else. I think he's still got a lot of developing to do, mentally, physically. All the tools are there. You like the toughness, the no hesitate anticipation on run or throw, the take a chance, the comeback ability to just play the next play, even if you make a mistake. He's got that starting pitching mentality. I'm with you. It's all there, man. It's all there. And look, he's a great example, too, that sometimes you benefit from sticking it out. Instead of using the transfer portal as your first impulse, you use it as a last resort. That's the smart way to use the transfer portal. Because if I'm a coach, Jason, I know I'm chasing a rabbit here. I'll get back to the thing. Hang on. But if I'm a coach, I'm recruiting the transfer portal. There's lots of things I'm evaluating with players, whether they're out of high school or out of the portal. Height, weight, speed, ability, resume, experience, all this. But I'm also trying my best to evaluate intelligence, smarts, and maturity. I got news for you. If I'm at a program, if I'm at a big time program and I'm coaching, I'm just not recruiting guys in the portal who jumped in there after one semester in college. Don't care what the reason is. It's not a smart thing to do. Go somewhere and use the transfer portal as your first impulse. I'm here for 3 or 4 months. I don't like it. I'm gone. I ain't recruiting that guy. Sorry. Now, the guy who's been somewhere 2-3 years, maybe he's already got his degree, an extra COVID year. I'm evaluating that a little bit differently. Just saying. All right, unnamed texter says New Orleans Saints needed Gardner Minshew this past season, and Sean Payton might not be leaving. Let me get you this, okay? Here's the story at ESPN. Sean Payton has decided to step away as a New Orleans coach after 16 years, not necessarily retiring permanently, but deciding to take a break after 16 seasons as the Saints coach, the source said. It's not immediately clear what Payton plans to do. Sources have told ESPN that television networks have shown considerable interest in hiring him. I bet they have. I bet. Who's the best TV analyst right now? Who is it? Now, that'll open up a whole big discussion on, who's the best analyst. I used to think it was Troy Aikman, but he's just not anymore. Troy is good, but he's gotten, I think, comfortable with Joe Buck, and when guys get comfortable, they start to get generic. That's what's kind of happening to Troy, kind of non-specific. So, for me, I'm trying to think all the best analysts that are in the NFL. Romo, I like Collinsworth because he nails it. Whether you like his voice or his delivery or not, Collinsworth nails the information. That's what I'm telling you from a football standpoint, a football XO, here's what actually happened. Collinsworth nails it. He's not wrong. Yeah, you may not like his delivery and stuff. Romo nails it, and he's fun. And it's kind of easy for him. It's not Aikman anymore. Yeah. I think Monday night. I really like Greasy. And Greasy, it's not his whole, the ball is not completely in his court, but I like Greasy. He nails it too. In terms of the information, he nails the information. But Sean Payton would be fantastic. I mean, he might be the number one analyst like the day he steps in there. These TV people know that. That's what I think. Okay, anyway, it says 58 years old, 3 years, not 2, 3 years remaining on his deal with the Saints after he signed an extension 2 years ago, 2019. So the Saints would maintain his rights if he decides to return to coaching and could require compensation if he wants to coach for another team, and I'm sure they would, especially the position they are in. In the meantime, here's where it gets not fun to read or hear if you're a Saints fan, because it's true. In the meantime, the Saints will enter a new era after quarterback Drew Brees also retired before the 2021 season. Defensive coordinator Dennis Allen and offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael Jr. could be considered among potential replacements for Peyton. Won the 2009 Super Bowl. According to the Elias Sports Bureau, Peyton and the Saints rank first in NFL history in both points scored and yards gained among all-time coach-team combos within at least 5 seasons together. It wasn't just that we liked him. It was that they were historically good on offense consistently. We'll talk Mississippi State at Kentucky basketball coming up next. We'll go live to Lexington. Stick around.
There's a lot of noise. After these messages, we'll be right back.
Arrived today. Jeans do come true. Thank you, Blue Delta. Yeah, jeans do come true. That's what the bag says. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Raw denim jeans, custom fit, hand tailored in Tupelo, Mississippi, my hometown. Let's dive in and see what we have here. Do what I did. Visit BlueDeltaJeans.com. Find your fit, design a jean, and before you know it, you'll be addicted. Just for my listeners, enter discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase. Again, that's if you listen to me, you can use discount code Matt Wyatt, all lowercase, and at checkout, you're going to get a 10% discount off your order. So I just went online, ordered them, BlueDeltaJeans.com. A couple weeks ago, went in. I didn't go get measured. I just entered, what I knew about myself. I just answered the questions, and here they are at my doorstep a couple weeks later. Nice. Yeah, Blue Delta. Nice. I'm happy. I've known the Blue Delta team for years, and I'm thrilled to have these guys on as a sponsor of this show. Blue Delta's Virtual Tailor is a fun and easy way to get yourself into the best fitting pair of jeans you're ever going to own. But you never thought you'd get a butt shot out of me, huh? How about that? Just answer the questions and they fit absolutely perfectly. They couldn't fit better. So just go online, BlueDeltaJeans.com, answer the questions. It's amazing how they do it. They will fit perfectly. You're not going to find better material and better feeling pants, period, anywhere. BlueDeltaJeans.com. Use this code. Use the code. You're going to get a discount. They are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. I promise you that. And I know that you are going to love them too. Make sure you use the code. And remember, jeans do come true.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Let me tell you about an ice cream can't be beat.
The very best tasting you can eat.
It's Meadow, 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 Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold. Go to your ice cream man today and here's the word that you should say. Oh, give me Meadow, Meadow, Meadow Smooth Freeze Meadow Gold.
And remember, folks, Meadow Gold is mighty good.
For double enjoyment, reach for Beech Nut Peppermint Gum. It sparkles your smile, your breath, your whole sense of enjoyment. Beech Nut Peppermint in the familiar yellow pack.
6 o'clock, dinner time. Thank goodness for Jell-O Instant Pudding.
Yes, thank goodness for Jell-O Instant Pudding. the terrific busy day dessert you can make at the very last minute. See how quick and easy. Just add it to cold milk and beat it up. That's all. By the time you're ready to eat it, it's all ready for you. Jell-O Instant Pudding, made by the famous Jell-O folks. So creamy, so nourishing, so delicious. No other instant pudding is quite the same. Stock your shelves with all 7 flavors. The good busy day dessert. Jell-O Instant Pudding.
It's the Matt Wyatt Show on 105.9 The Zone and worldwide online at The Zone, 1059.com.
All right, here we go. A few more minutes left with you here on this, what is today, Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday, because we have midweek basketball going on. There are 3 games around the SEC tonight, and then you have a bunch of other games tomorrow night. So Tuesday, Wednesday, midweek. Tonight, the first SEC basketball game will be 5:30 tip in Athens, Georgia. Alabama on the road at Georgia. Georgia really struggling at 5-14. They're 0-6, and Bama favorite, big old favorite on the road. Then at 7:30 on the SEC Network, the number 1 team in the country, the Auburn Tigers, go to Missouri. Missouri 2 games below 500. Auburn at 18-1. And then a national broadcast tonight on ESPN if you want to watch it at 8 o'clock Central. 9 Eastern tip. How about that? With 12th ranked Kentucky and Lexington hosting your Mississippi State Bulldogs. And the man who you should listen to his call on the radio with Coach Richard Williams is Neil Price. And he's on your radio right now. Bulldogs trying to get another win, and they just won this weekend. It's a tough task on the road in Lexington. Joining us live from Lexington at the team hotel, Neil Price, the voice of the Dogs. Hey, Neil, what's it like up there? Cold?
Yeah, a little cool, but, good news is we play inside, so it's not that big a deal.
It doesn't matter, does it? That's right. So Kentucky coming off that loss on Saturday at Auburn, which was a heck of a ball game, in fact. And I don't know if you got a chance to watch that because it was a game day for you, but I tell you, Neil, that was a heck of a matchup between those 2 teams Saturday.
Well, that's 2 teams that've got a lot of talent, and anytime you're dealing with a lot of talent, you're going to have that kind of thing. So, I think that's what you're looking at is you got to do, that's what you're looking at is you got to find a way to compete with talent, and you're going to play a supremely talented team tonight.
Yeah, hey, and one of those guys that you talk about has kind of been their leader, Ty Washington, the guard for Kentucky. It's not like they don't have other players. It's not like they can't win without him, but he has been a major part of their team. And am I right, Neil? He's not supposed to play tonight, huh?
Well, I don't think we've heard anything up here yet that officially he's not going to play, but I think they were leaning toward that a little bit earlier today. So we'll have to see, but I think that they are they are talented enough. They can absorb that. And, and then you've got another guard in Wheeler behind him, that those guys have kind of been interchangeable. Both of them are, I think, top 10 in assist to turnover ratio in the league. So, they've got the ability to absorb that, but, they lose a scorer, so that's the thing. If you're State, you got to take advantage of it. You got to find a way to, make sure that hurts them a little bit. You don't let some other guy get hot offensively.
Neil Price, he's the play-by-play voice on the radio for Mississippi State men's basketball. Game tonight in Lexington, Kentucky. 12th ranked Wildcats coming off a loss. They'll be at home in Rupp. State coming in there off a win. State's going to have their hands completely full. We know that. State also, Neil, are they officially without Tolu Smith? And what's the prognosis there?
Well, the good news is no injury is good, okay? But the thing that's kind of the silver lining in this is that when we saw Tolu fall down in that game this past Saturday, it looked like it was the worst case. and then he gets his MRI done, and the team put a statement out, I think Sunday night, that basically said he's going to be out for a little while with I guess it's not a hyperextension. He basically dislocated his patella is what I think happened, and popped right back in, luckily. But obviously there's going to be some time, needs, some healing, some edema that's got to get out of there, not to get too medical. But, so I think best case, Coach Allen said yesterday in the press conference, best case, probably 3 weeks, worst case, 4 to 5. But we'll keep our fingers crossed and see. He's a tough guy. I know he's chomping at the bit to play, and he has had an incredible run of bad luck. I mean, I don't know that I've ever been around anybody in 20 years doing this that has had as much bad luck in 1 year as Tolu has had with regard to injury and everything else. So hopefully it is best case, and it's 3 weeks, and he's back out there and ready to go for a stretch run.
Sure. I know you're up there with your radio partner, Coach Richard Williams, who will be on the call with you for this game. As you've talked with Coach Williams, what is his analysis of what State's got to have happen in order to hang around and maybe have a chance in this game at Rupp Arena tonight?
They're going to have to keep Kentucky out of transition, and they've got 5 guys that are going to absolutely take off like they're shot out of a gun. Make or miss trying to beat you down the floor. So that's one. And, and this is easier said than done. You got to find a way to keep Sheepway off the offensive glass. Yeah. I mean, this guy is a monster, and he goes to the glass with reckless abandon. So those are the 2 biggest things. And then after that, you got to make some shots on offense. That's not always been the strong suit for State, especially outside. They got to find a way. If they get open looks tonight, they got to hit them. That's part of winning on the road. So those 3 things are at the top of the list for sure.
So when you get a shot, it needs to go in. And that's Molinar, isn't it? I mean, State's a threat offensively when Molinar's having a good night. It just kind of revolves around him, doesn't it?
Well, he's a big piece of it, and it's not just his shot making; it's that he sets up the other guys. Yeah. That's the other thing. I mean, his assist numbers have been really good. I think that's maybe where he's grown the most since he's been here. He's moved to that point guard position, and he's really learning how to be a facilitator. But they need him to score, no question about that. And without Tolu Smith, I think DJ Jeffries, a guy who verbally committed here, I think DJ's got to step up tonight. They need him to play well at the offensive end, make some shots, and Garrison's going to have to be big for him too. He's going to be against Sheepway probably most of the night, and it's going to be tough, but he's got to find a way to score. And I think, my opinion, Matt, and I don't know much about it. I mean, you've talked to me long enough to know that. Garrison made a lot of mid-range jump shots in that game against Ole Miss. He kind of lived there. Now, he's playing at the 4 a lot in that game. But if he can knock down some of those 15, 16-foot shots tonight, and he can pull Sheepway away from the basket, and you don't have that rim protector there because Kentucky won't play a lot of man, maybe you can get something going where guys back cut, or you can work something out where you get some looks, and maybe that helps too.
Sure. When it comes to, Neil, and we're just speculating here, when it comes to being down a player in Tolu Smith, playing a team that can run the floor like their hair is on fire, what kind of pressure does that put on State, too, to be really smart about, not getting in foul trouble? The ticky-tack, it's a 3-on-2, it's a 2-on-1, and I reach out and hit a guy's arm and I get a cheap foul. Wouldn't you think that, too, is a big part of the game and a coaching point for Ben Howland?
Oh, yeah, that's a coaching point for him every game. If you watch practice at all, one of the things Coach Howland always talks about is we got to play defense without fouling. And when you're down a player, a guy who's in your regular rotation, sure, you've got to do that. Now, he said the other day, too, we're used to this. We're not happy about it, but, Tolu's played 8 games, okay? So, they're used to having to step up and play different roles, and everybody, I think, understands the importance. But when you're playing a team that can match you with depth, like UK can, you're going to have to absolutely be much more in tune to that going on and making sure you keep guys on the floor.
Neil, I'm hearing something you said. You were talking about you need scoring out of DJ Jeffries, and he's coming off double figures in his start on Saturday. You talked about Garrison Brooks. Well, I think about the term we hear about these great NFL coaches or sometimes great teams when they have great players that make the other team play left-handed. In other words, it's like a Calipari's got all these athletes and these weapons, and he can go, look, don't let Molinar beat you and don't let Moore beat you. Make the scoring come from somewhere else.
Yeah, and his team is amphibious. It can do it with two hands. You know, I mean, that's, you know, so yeah, that's the luxury they have. But
right.
Yeah, I'm sure, you know, it's not going to be different than any other team that State's played this year. Their scouting report is going to be geared heavily toward Iverson Molinar and trying to slow him down because he is a guy who impacts the game in so many different ways. And again, that's why I think you got to look for others to step up and help. Somebody like DJ has got to step up and have a big game, take a little bit of pressure off Iverson, who can operate, do a little bit more. Garrison, you know, it could be somebody off the bench. You know, I mean, who knows? Cameron Matthews, you know, he didn't play a ton against these guys in the 2 games last year, but Cam plays very well, you know, and this is kind of game you get up down the floor where I think he could excel. So you just need somebody to step up and take the heat off of him where you don't have one hand tied behind your back.
Sure. Hey, Neil, it's great to hear your voice. We're going to be listening to your voice tonight, although it's going to be late. I mean, get you a nap in.
Yeah, get the coffee on.
Golly, a 9 Eastern tip. We don't get too many of those, but
it's called television.
That's what it's called. Well, we be looking forward to listening to you and Coach Williams on the call, man. I appreciate you.
Hey, man, thank you. Good talking to you.
Yep, you too. That's Neil Price. He'll be on the radio tonight, as we said, so they'll do a 30-minute pregame. So it's 8 o'clock Central Time tip-off. I almost said kickoff. 8 Central tip. So the pregame here, if you hear my voice, you'll be hearing their pregame at 7:30 Central tonight, and they'll tip it at 8. So if you're like me and you go to bed early and wake up early, it's tough. It's a challenge. It's a midweek challenge here. Figure out some way to stay awake. My technique is I just stand up. When I get sleepy like that, I don't sit down. I just stand up in front of the TV. It's hard to fall asleep when you're standing up. But I promise you this, if Kentucky runs out there 15, 20 points, it'd be hard to stay standing in front of that TV. I really hope it's a competitive game. I'd love it if State could pull off the upset. All right, that's it for today. Fun show. Had breaking news, everything else. We'll talk some. We might have the time tomorrow to look back at some Sean Payton Saints memories just for fun, as they say. For Bill, I'm Matt, and everybody here in the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. We'll see you tomorrow. See you.